They told you the problem with your budget was your little pleasures, your coffee, your Netflix subscription. They lied. You know your salary, but do you really know your money? Welcome to a new episode of the podcast, Financial Hardship is Not Only Job Loss. I'm Ingrid Francisque, the voice behind AfroBudgetinGirl. I was sitting down to fill in my budget spreadsheet for the month, comparing what I've planned against what I actually spent, after setting aside savings and the emergency funds. I had just around €100 left over that month. I decided to put it straight into the emergency fund. On paper, that doesn't sound like much, but I work with an annual budget. I know my target, so I don't panic. But for you listening right now, that margin might feel unbearably tight, especially when you're doing everything right. The mental load of always being this close to the edge, that's exhausting, that's heavy. Because we've been taught that not to complain when we have a job. You have a salary, you have nothing to complain about. But having a salary and still feeling financially stuck, that's a real thing. And it deserves a real conversation. So I went to my AfroBudgetinGirl WhatsApp community and asked a simple question. Do you feel financially stuck even though you're working? Over 60% of the members responded. Honestly, I think about this all the time. And what those responses show me is that these questions touch very different people. People who have been budgeting carefully for years and can't figure out why nothing moves. And people who haven't found a way to track their money yet and feel overwhelmed before they even started. Today, we are going to talk about both. I hope you find yourself in this episode. My salary isn't enough. That phrase can mean two completely opposite things. The first thing is you track your budget carefully and it still does not move. The second is you don't know where your money goes. Let's start with the first profile. You track and yet you budget, you check your accounts, you avoid unnecessary spending. You do the right things and still at the end of the month, there's almost nothing left. Not enough to save. Not enough for the dinner you've been wanting for weeks. It's frustrating, it's draining, and it starts to feel like personal failure when it isn't. The second profile, you don't really know where your money goes. If you're earning a regular salary and you generally don't know where it ends up, that's not an income problem. It's an approach problem. And that's actually good news because it means it can change once you understand what's driving it. Maybe you never thought how to budget. Maybe checking your accounts fills you with anxiety. Maybe you were never taught how to budget. Maybe checking your accounts fills you with anxiety, so you avoid it. Maybe you know there are leaks somewhere, but don't know where to start. You don't fully understand financial priorities, like paying off debt before eating out. That's not laziness. That's often a lack of practice, and practice can be built. Most of what we explore in this episode speaks to the first profile, the ones already putting in the work, wondering why the system still feels too heavy to carry. If you are the second profile, stay with me. Understanding structural pressures will help you see why budgeting is not the enemy. It's a tool for your life balance. And I'm dedicating a full episode just for you, so we can go deep on what building financial discipline actually looks like from the beginning. This podcast, Financial Hardship is Not Only Job Loss, the community, the tools, all of it exists for you. You are exactly where you need to be. In episode 2 of this podcast, we laid out a clear definition. Financial hardship is not only job loss. It's any event that destabilizes your financial life, debt, illness, poor administrative planning, lack of legal preparation, caregiving, inheritance issue, or simply the fact that costs are rising faster than your income. If you haven't listened to episode 2 yet, that's your starting point. Link is in the show notes. Today, the numbers confirm what you're already feeling. Fact 1, salaries are not keeping up. When did you last get a raise? And was it enough to cover even one major expense category? Let me know in the comment. In the UK in 2024, salaries grew by an average of 5.6%, but inflation ran between 7 to 9% in the same period, which means your purchasing power actually shrank. You earn more on paper, you buy less in real life. And that gap is felt everywhere, not just in the UK. Fact 2, housing. In London, a one-bedroom flat averaged £2,000 a month. A two-bedroom is between £2,900 and £3,200. And you're thinking, would it be better to buy? Not so fast. The average price of a two-bedroom property is £559,000. Yes, you can rewind that. The number won't change. Your Sunday hot chocolate isn't competing with those figures. Housing is. For those who already bought, your reality depends heavily on your mortgage rate and the ongoing costs tied to the property. Maintenance, taxes, service charge. I'll go deep on this in the housing pillar episode because buying is often seen as the obvious solution, but is far more nuanced than that. Fact 3, childcare. In London, full-time nursery costs between £1,600 and £2,000 a month. That's the equivalent of a second rent. We're told that for financial stability, both parents should work. But to go to work, your children need to be cared for, and at least half a salary can go straight there. The irony is almost funny. Almost. Fact 4, food. A family of 4 in the UK now spend around £500 to £600 a month on basic groceries. And that's before hygiene product, cleaning supplies, feminine care product. Here's my reality. Until early 2025, I used to buy meat from a butcher, high quality but small quantities. I prioritize it especially for my children. When I got fired, I switched to buying wherever the offers were. I noticed the quality difference immediately. I told myself, okay, it was temporary. But since the conflict in the Gulf region began in 2026, I'm spending the same amount as in 2025 for less and lower quality. That breaks my heart and is not just meat. Produce that used to be an everyday pleasure, fresh food, vegetables, has become a luxury. That's not a budgeting failure. That's the world shifting around us. Fact 5, travel. And this one is personal. My family lives in the Caribbean. Going home is not only a holiday for me. It's an emotional grounding, cultural connection, being close to the people who shape me. I'm actually recording this episode from home right now. It does something for you, being in a space that restores you. In 2018, for my wedding, I paid around €400 for a Paris-Guadeloupe flight. Today, in 2026, the same route regularly costs around €900, even in low season, regardless of the airline. You will think they all agreed on the price. And when the cost triple, that's not mismanagement. That's life changing around you at a pace your salary hasn't matched. On that note, I'm preparing a bonus episode about my vacation for financial perspective. You won't be disappointed. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it. In episode 5, What is Financial Resilience? We talk about the financial ecosystem, the 6 pillars that shape your financial reality far beyond your bank statement. Family, housing, work, cultural norms, the legal and tax system. All of it forms an ecosystem. And when that ecosystem is under pressure, your budget is too, even when you're doing everything right. But there's another layer that data doesn't capture. Cost that no budget spreadsheet shows. Obligation that no one asks you to justify publicly, but that weigh heavily every single month. Sending money home, helping a parent, a sibling, contributing to a funeral, a wedding, a medical emergency, thousands of miles away. These are not optional expenses. They are part of who you are, your culture, your values, and they never show up in the advice that say, just save 20% a month. In some families and culture, earning a good salary comes with responsibility towards family, towards community. You're doing well. You can help. And we help up to a point because we love. Because if roles were reversed, we will hope for the same. Be honest with yourself. If a cousin or a parent were more comfortable than you financially, would you want their support? That responsibility is never factored into the calculations. Redundancy, caring for a sick parent or child, navigating a major life transition, a birth. This interruption, career interruption, have an immediate cost on your monthly income and a long-term cost on pension rights, promotions, opportunities. The people living through them didn't choose this path out of lack of ambition. Death from previous chapters, a loan taken out during a hard season, payment left over from a divorce, a separation, a move, a health crisis. Life leaves financial traces, and sometimes we carry them for years, even when the situation has changed. All of this together create what I call an unbalanced financial ecosystem. It's not that the salary is too small. It's that the ecosystem surrounding the salary carries too much weight. And financial hardship, as we've been saying since episode 1, is not only job loss. Have you ever mapped everything your ecosystem actually carries? Not just the bills, the invisible obligation, the expectation, the weight no one sees. That's exactly what the 200 question practical guide is built for. Not to give you answer, but to ask you the right question and a practical guide. The ones you may have never thought to ask yourself. Now I want to talk about something we all do at some point and nobody names out loud. Comparison. Measuring ourselves against others. Making assumptions about someone else's situation without knowing the full picture. She earns the same as me. How does she manage? How does she have that much saved? That comparison is toxic and, more importantly, completely unproductive. You don't know her financial ecosystem. You don't know if her parents help pay for her education or still contribute to her rent. You don't know if she inherited something. You don't know if she's carrying invisible debt in silence. In my experience, most people will never tell you the full picture of what's happening in their finances. And others have a head start they don't even realize because previous generation did the work for them. Everyone's circumstances are unique. Drawing conclusion from someone else's salary without knowing their ecosystem is just hurting yourself. It's counterproductive and it can breed resentment. What to do instead? Be honest with yourself. Not harsh, honest. Are you really tracking your spending? Are there financial blind spots in your management expenses you never properly map? I want to pause here for the second profile. The one who doesn't quite know where the money goes. I haven't forgotten you. This episode isn't meant to leave you behind. Quite the opposite. Here's what I want to offer you concretely. The first step is to see, not to judge, not to fix everything at once. Just see, because you cannot change what you cannot see yet. In the annual budget tracker on AfroBudgetinGirl.com, there is a dedicated tab to map all your expenses by category. Provider name, supplier frequency, category tab. All the instructions are inside. Open it. Start filling it. That's it. You do not have to be perfect from day one. And if you want to go deeper, the 200 question practical guide is here to help you understand the invisible forces shaping your financial reality, to name the blind spot, to see your ecosystem clearly without judgment. If you want to go through this with someone alongside you, sign up for the newsletter or join the WhatsApp group for the next webinar date. Both tools have free version. The link is in the show notes. And I promise, There is a full episode coming that's dedicated entirely to your profile. Because building financial discipline from scratch deserves its own space. Not a footnote, a full episode. Subscribe to so you don't miss it. When we're stuck and looking for answer, a lot of people now turn to artificial intelligence. ChatGPT, how do I manage my budget? How can I make money faster? AI will answer. Structure, logical, reassuring. But here's what it doesn't know. Your ecosystem. It doesn't know you send money home every month, that you're still repaying a debt from 2019, that you are managing the kids, the rent, and your mother calls alone. It gives you a general answer based on what's available on the internet. And different tools give different answers. ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, none of them are neutral. All of them depend on the data they are trained on. AI can be a starting point to explore ideas, understand a concept, research a financial mechanism. But it doesn't replace an expert who knows you, who knows which question to ask you. And it doesn't replace the honest work of looking at your own numbers. That's why we built tools shaped around your reality, not a generic one. There's something we don't talk about enough, and yet is real, it's heavy, and is exhausting. Is the mental load of never being truly financially comfortable. Not in open crisis, but never fully free either. Your salary comes in, but before it even lands, you're already running the numbers. You know the bills are closer than the paycheck. You watch the days. You check your accounts. And that tension in your stomach as the date approaches, that's exhausting. Not because you're a bad manager, but because you carry a heavy ecosystem. And the gap between what comes in and what goes out is too narrow. This mental load of scarcity, tied to the trauma of financial hardship, even when you're not in outright poverty, it affects your concentration. It affects your decision. It takes up space in your mind that it shouldn't occupy, and is a form of hardship that nobody around you can see. Watch out for false solution under pressure. And this is where it gets dangerous. When we under financial pressure, we look for fast solution, and some people will offer them. The pyramid scheme promising passive income within weeks, the investment plan guaranteeing 30% returns per month, crypto trading as a miracle fix, scams that specifically target people in tight vulnerable situations. I'm not saying every investment is a scam, but be careful about the decision you make under pressure, because pressure distorts judgment. What feels reasonable in a moment of urgency can be very costly mistake once the pressure lifts. If it sounds like magic, it isn't. I want to talk about your coffee, because everyone loves to blame the coffee. I wrote an article about this. You are not a latte broke away. And it starts with a simple question. Is your morning coffee actually sabotaging your finances? Short answer, no. The full answer is on the blog at AfroBudgetinGirl.com. Link are in the show notes of this episode. If someone buys a basic €5 coffee every morning without thinking about it, yes, that can add up. But if once a week you sit down with a friend, drink your coffee, talk, breathe, reconnect, that is not poor financial behavior. That is an intentional moment of joy that belongs in your budget. I make that choice myself. I go to a spinning studio to work out. Some people would say, just go for a run. I hate running. That's one thing. But I love that studio because I feel safe there, support, surrounded by a community that push me to show up consistently. That environment is part of my well-being. My days are intense. Being there, I let go completely. No need to perform, mental load, reset to zero. A friend of mine goes to a woman-only gym because that's where she feels at ease. Another one has a standing manicure pedicure appointment every Thursday. That's a sacred hour. Rest, silent, reset. That's not vanity. That's taking care of her mental health. These are intentional expenses aligned with real values. They have a rightful place. What actually disrupts a budget is not intentional joy, it's trend-driven consumption, spending guided by influence rather than values. The limited edition Starbucks cup, the Labubu doll, the TikTok fast fashion hauls that make you feel like you need something new every 3 days. That kind of spending doesn't come from joy. It comes from pressure, environment, and influence. And that is a real leak. The question is not, do I deserve this pleasure? The question is, did I choose this or did someone else choose it for me? For a long time, I allow myself nothing. I believe every cent has to be invested, saved, put away. Even though I love to travel, love to discover new cuisine, love to eat, and yet, even with my savings in place, the problem kept coming. I had no release valve for my frustration. So I decided to treat myself, but smartly. Theater, yes, but on a Tuesday, student price. Travel, backpack only. 2 days, keep the check back fee. And you know what? It felt good. I stopped feeling guilty because I stopped just reacting to every new problem. Those small moments of joy helped me breathe and prepare me to handle the hard things differently. I want to leave you with just a few questions. Do you feel guilty treating yourself when you already have a lot on your plate? Is there something you stop allowing yourself because your budget is under pressure? Do you compare yourself financially to others and find yourself feeling envious of your situation? Are there expenses that feel non-negotiable because that's how you care for yourself? And are those truly wellness spending or impulse? You came into this episode with a question. Why does my salary never seems like enough? You're living with an answer. It's not you. It's the ecosystem around you. Rising costs and visible obligation, structural pressure, that weighs more than any salary can absorb alone. And sometimes it's also the absence of a clear view of where that money actually goes. Both are real, both have solution. But understanding the problem is not enough on its own. The real question now is, do you actually know the blind spots in your ecosystem? Have you mapped everything it carries, the invisible obligation and the visible, and the ones you never name? That's where the real work begins, and that's exactly where the tools we build for you come in. Here's what you can do today. If you're the first profile, you track and you're still stuck, the 200 question practical guide was made for you, not to give you more numbers to crush, but to help you name what your ecosystem is really carrying, to identify your financial blind spot, to see your reality clearly without judgment. Link in the show notes. If you are the second profile, you don't know where your money goes yet, start with a free budget tracker now. Simple. There's a tab dedicated to mapping every expense by category, to see what you might be missing, to find the leaks. Not perfect, but the real first step toward understanding your financial map. Link in the show note. For both of you, the community, join the AfroBudgetinGirl WhatsApp community. People like you, working or in transition, trying, searching for answer, no judgment. The link is in the description. And remember, this podcast, Financial Hardship, is not only job loss, exists to give you clarity. Without clarity, we cannot move forward. Thank you so much for listening all the way through. If this episode spoke to you, subscribe to the podcast. You can find it on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon, or YouTube. You can also join our WhatsApp community, download our free tools, the budget tracker, and the 200 question practical guide, and read or listen to blog articles for concrete solutions, all on AfroBudgetinGirl.com. Because financial hardship is not only job loss. And above all, don't forget to take care of yourself, because health is wealth. I'm Ingrid Francisque, the voice behind AfroBudgetinGirl, and I see you in the next episode.